Hello, hello. Oh my gosh, we are live. I am still learning the process of getting us live, so I'm a little late. Give me just 1 second here. Let's see here. I'm going to go ahead and pull up the YouTube page and see if I can. Okay, so this is great. I could see my live. I'm live. Thank you for joining. Okay, so this is great. I can see my. Oops. Alrighty, 1 second here. Okay, so thank you for joining me today. And so I have my, we are good to go. And so I'm excited about that. And all right. I got a new haircut, y'all. So anyway, that's fun. All right, so last week we talked about burnout, my burnout experience that I had. And so I wanted to do this topic today, kind of expanding on that a little bit more, because I really want to support you in avoiding burnout, knowing the signs of burnout, and this way you save and protect your energy. And this is one way that we're balancing our masculine and feminine energy when we're entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, wanting to build a business, and we still struggle with either too much masculine energy or too much feminine energy. So I have clients that have faced both. They've had a lot of success in their careers and in their life, and through that masculine energy. And they get to a place where they just feel spent. They feel spent with all the energy that they're exuding, and they just don't have it in them anymore because they've been forcing, and they get to a place where they need some respite. They know that they've been pushing for a long time. It was a conditioned response that they learned some way, somehow, somewhere along their path. Some people develop this conditioned response right from their upbringing when they're a child and their parents are teaching them. And we do the best we can, right? I'm a parent as well. And so I remember those days of telling my kids, nope, you got to get up, you got to do the thing. You signed up for this thing and you need to do it. And we mean well, right? But now at this day and age, studying masculine and feminine energy and going through this myself, I realized that that wasn't the best way to really teach my children to do their thing. And so we learn through that, we grow through that. The good thing is that we can change these patterns in our lives no matter how we learned this way of doing, right? And so today's day and age, if you haven't heard, what's forming now and developing now is the new human. The human of the future is someone that cares about masculine and feminine energy, cares about using energy wisely, cares about the environment and how things are impacting other people. And we care about community. We care about serving each other, because we realize that when we can serve each other through love, and by each other, I also mean the self, when we can serve through love, work through love, plan through love, we are teaching and emulating to others also this way of acting through love. The love for self is what should drive the doing. The compassion for others and love for others is important in driving what we're doing, right? That it's for the greater good, that it is for something bigger than just ourselves, bigger than we can imagine. And balancing the two, putting ourselves first through love and through the lens of love for others as well, because we don't want to turn the doing into a negative, low vibration, egoic behavior. So what some people don't realize too is that we all have an ego. We all have an ego, and it's up to us to choose if we're going to continue the path of a a low vibration form of ego, where it's all about the self. And the love for others isn't in consideration. The compassion for others isn't in consideration. And it's only about me, me, me. And so when we operate that way, where it's only about me, 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 then we're doing things that are unkind and not caring for the other. The new way of operating in business is caring for the other, but also knowing where we stand in the thing that we're being called to do. So when we put ourselves first, as far as identifying what our role is to pour into society, to pour into the world, and to give back to others as we're giving to ourselves and to our own family, when we look at ourselves first, then we do what we're called to do. We're doing what we're meant to do versus pushing for money, pushing for someone else's agenda, right? So there is a fine line there, and it's something that's very subtle that happens within the body. This subtleness that happens within the body is this pulling of doing. And in my book, The Unified Way, I talk about balancing masculine and feminine energies as an entrepreneur. And in that, I teach how the energy moves through the body and communicates to each other. And lo and behold, the mind is not a part of that communication. Did you know that? The mind is not a part of that communication, but that is what we do as humans, is we turn to the mind. Think. Research. Look for support and help from the external, from people that have been there and done it. Although it's good to be inspired by other people that have been there and done it. We must first turn to our inner compass to really know what it is that we are meant and called to do. And that takes a little bit of focus in the beginning to learn to read our own compass. It takes focus in the beginning to understand, how does it feel in the body when the decision is right for me? Because as I shared in the last live, when I did that stint of shorts where I was on fire, and as I said, I really thought that I was moving from inspired action. And the mind is so strong, saying, the numbers are there where you want them. This is what you wanted. This is what you've been waiting for to have happen. This is it. So what does that do? It fuels the body to push forward. And I knew deep down inside, I knew that I was starting to get tired. I knew that I was starting to question, is this right for me to keep going, right? So I didn't start feeling the tired energy, the heaviness in my core until toward the end. And then that was my signal to start slowing down. But had I, and this is what I want to develop through the Woopreneur Collective beta that's coming up in January, in that collective, I want to teach how do we integrate the feminine mode of being. How do we integrate that when we believe that we're creating momentum? How do we discover the signs within the body to know? And I feel so thankful that this came to me at this time before the beta collective. And I feel like I was meant to teach this to you because it came at the exact timing for me to learn what this is all about. In my research and in my studies, I had this information about masculine and feminine. I had my own experience of my masculine and feminine. I watched other people that were higher in masculine energy, and how did they operate? How did they get inspired, right? Most of it was external, working off of that masculine energy. There is an inner drive somehow to achieve and to do things and to make an impact. It just gets misguided and misdirected when it's energy. So then we have the other, which is people that are driven more by feminine energy, which is myself. When we are operating on high feminine energy, we need to learn to identify who we are at the core so that our feminine energy isn't mainly for the other. So when you're highly feminine, you're susceptible to do mainly for the other, as far as keeping our word, or that empathy. Empathy is very, very high when you are high in feminine energy. And so when we're operating from empathy, that is also external influences that are pulling us to do something for low frequency purposes, so we may not be high in the me, in the capacity of more money, more achievement, more recognition, but it's in the me versus, I don't want to be seen as a bad person. I don't want to hurt this person. I don't want them to think bad of me. And I don't want to look bad. I care. So because I care, I must be meant to do this thing that they're asking me for, or that they're telling me that they need, right? So do you see the differences there with low frequency and high masculine versus high feminine? Neither is at a place that serves both. So when we can find the balance of masculine and feminine, we serve both, the self and the other. So that is our goal with the beta that I will be running in January of 2026. And through the end of the year, I will be doing teachings on Fridays and Sundays that are all in line with balancing masculine and feminine energy. And if you're hopping on here live with me, I'd love for you to let me know where you are from, what pulled you in here, and what are your experiences that you'd like to learn about today to help you balance your masculine and feminine energy. So let me just have a look here and see. Let's see. Do I not have the chat on? Let's see. Okay. All right, great. Oh, thank you for joining. Arts, you like my hair? Thank you. I just got this cut yesterday, so I'm still trying to figure it out. But thank you so much. James, being a good parent is really hard. You're absolutely right. Yeah, being a good parent is hard, and it's something that we just work through. And so one of the blessings that I had with being a parent was learning my children's human design, learning my human design, and with that, I learned how important it was for, say, my son who had this creative energy and wanted to do something creative with his hands. And so I had more loving patience for his creative energy. And in the beginning, I used to say, oh, no, we can't do that. That sounds dangerous. But when I learned about his human design, I was able to say, okay, well, let's see, how are we going to do this, right? And with my daughter, she was highly susceptible to bringing in other people's energy. And so with that external need to satisfy friends and others and them coming to her for certain things because she's a projector, she would carry on their energy. So I learned through human design that the mornings that she was in a place of saying, I need to stay home, I don't feel good, I used to ask questions like, do you have a fever? Does your tummy hurt? Does your throat hurt? Well, it was all about energy for her, and she just needed to rest. So that was huge for me. Yes, and thank you for the comments in here. It's easy to think our parents were wrong, but then I see what other parents do to them, and suddenly it's like them raising me was the best thing possible. Perspective is so important. I don't know if you're a parent, James, but perspective is so important when we're learning and growing, and when we're teaching others, right? To have that well-rounded perspective versus just our own experience, our own perceived experience. I always say that everyone has their own level of common sense because everything is perceived through our own lens, through our feelings, through our mind. Our mind should have nothing to do with decision making ever. The first thing is the visceral response in the body. And when we allow our mind to interject with fear, putting fear into our decision making, we go down a different path of really making the right decision. So it takes time to develop our own sense of our own masculine and feminine energy, but we can get there. So thank you for sharing that. All right, so now I'm going to turn to the notes that I have for you today. So what I want to talk about today is why your energy determines your results, not your effort. So we talk a lot about you've got to put more effort in, you've got to try harder. We talk so much about that. And when we look at what our energy is telling us, this is what we want to talk about today. Let's see here. All right, so does anybody resonate with that? Turdy, thank you for saying hi. Thanks for being here. Okay. So I really believe that understanding masculine and feminine energy within your own body will hugely change the way you look at success. And it's kind of a big deal because at the end of the day, especially with my recent experience with almost burning out, I realized it was more of a reset. And had I not been doing the work on myself, it would have led me to burnout. But because I was learning and teaching and training myself, and that event was another teaching that I needed to have so that I can really serve my community as a well-rounded, well-knowledgeable, well-experienced individual, to have the experiences that I needed to really teach this authentically and change, and also have a well-rounded perspective, as we were just talking about a minute ago. So your energy determines your results, not your effort. Not your effort. Do you resonate with that? Is it something that you identify with? Your energy determines your results, not your effort. If you ever worked hard, pushed, or tried to do everything right, and you still felt stuck, this video and this training is for you. So let me know if you want to be able to understand a new way of understanding your energy. Is this something that you have felt? Let me know in the chat. It'd be nice to know where you all are. Or have you gotten to a place to really understand how to balance your masculine and feminine energy, or your doing energy, as I like to say? So what I know today is that hard work alone doesn't create results. It creates in the moment results, but it doesn't create long-term results. It's not sustainable. Even if you are someone that's driven by your masculine energy, there will come a point where you're tired, you're worn out, and you need to do something differently. So what I'm going to teach you today are the 3 energies that run your life. And these energies are what we will be learning to pay attention to, so that we really nurture ourselves and have a drive that comes from an innate, pure way. So the 3 energies, these, I want to just be clear about something. These 3 energies are not like something that you need to put on your to-do list, right? It's not a discipline, and it's certainly not a hustle, right? And so the number 1, though, the first one, is your emotional energy. How do you feel before you act? Right? Are you someone that's used to thinking about how you feel before you act? Do you think, let me check in with how I feel about that? And then when you feel something, what do you do with that feeling? So that's what we're going to be talking about today. The second thing that we'll be talking about, the second energy, is your nervous system energy. The nervous system is what communicates that something is not quite right. And with time, you can start to learn the different signals that your energy or your nervous system will be giving you, so that you can know what your body is communicating with you. And also, this is what indicates the pace your body can support you, the pace that your nervous system can support you. And then the third energy is frequency energy. This is the story you energetically broadcast, right? So did you ever think in your mind you feel one way, and then someone else says, are you okay today? It's because you're emoting another frequency than your mind is telling you that you're driven to do in that moment. So that energetic frequency is felt by others, and it's more of an, sometimes, if we're in a low frequency and not paying attention to the first 2 energies, the emotional and the nervous system energy, if we're not paying attention to those 2, we could be emoting a very low frequency energy that maybe rubs people in a concerning way, we'll say. So which one do you feel out of sync with? The emotional energy, nervous system energy, or the frequency energy? Do you feel out of sync with any one of those? Go ahead and put that in the chat and let me know. Drop a 1, 2, or 3. All right. So what I want to share with you while you're doing that right now is that when I was posting shorts nonstop, I saw my numbers rising, as we talked about in the last live. I was excited. That excitement was really there in my body, but I was also trying to maintain a level-headed amount of excitement, right? So I described to you also that in the past, I used to get really, really high with excitement. And when something didn't work out, I nosedive down. Does anybody relate to that? So I learned to monitor that and see how it feels in my body. But there was a twinkle in my eye when I saw the numbers going up. And so that's what I mean by being excited about that. I did have to do some grounding so that I didn't go too high in my emotions, but it wasn't quite enough grounding, and it took me into overdrive, and it created misalignment. Thank you for joining. It created some misalignment and overwhelm. And I found that even though I was doing the right things, because what it led me to was a reset, which is good and healthy. So if you feel like you're doing the right things and you're going through the motion and getting things done, but what were my results? Were my results more and more higher and higher and higher numbers? More engagement, more impressions? There was a point where that ended because I was going into overdrive, right? And my body, my tired body, and my noisy mind, if I'm being honest, it said, I'm overwhelmed. It said, instead of saying I'm available and ready, it went into I'm overwhelmed. And I felt that. And then the universe responds with, it's time to reset. It's time to reset the body so that you can do what you're meant to do, right? So if you resonate with this, let me know. So energy creates results. You cannot manifest from dysregulation. And that's where I was headed. And luckily I was able to pause and pay attention to the signs. You cannot receive from overwhelm. And you cannot attract from panic. At the onset of my overwhelm and my tiredness, at the onset, I thought to myself, I can't stop because then I'm going to ruin my momentum here. But then I was quickly able to turn that around and just say, okay, let me just go rest. And in that resting, my body said, you need a little more rest. So we want to do this from centered energy. From centered energy, you magnetize. So how do we keep things in check and in balance? That is what I'm going to be sharing with you along in this live today. When your energy is aligned, you make clearer decisions. You move at the right pace. You create with ease. You don't chase. You don't burn out. Things come to you. This is the foundation of flow state manifesting, and this is what I will be teaching in January in the beta course. What does your energy feel like today? Are you grounded, scattered, hopeful, maybe tired? What does your energy feel like today? All right, so on that note, if you didn't have an answer with where your energy is today, and even if you know where your energy is today, I want to do a quick guided energy check-in practice. This is something that you can do at the start of a project, at the break of a project. I love to take advantage of potty breaks. When you go in for a potty break, which is inevitable, right? This is the perfect time to do an energy check. So, but for now, I want you to go ahead and close your eyes if you can. If you're listening to this, you can come back to this exercise later if you're listening to this in in a car. But go ahead and put one hand on your heart and one on your belly if you can. And close your eyes. And ask yourself, what energy am I living right now? What energy am I living right now? Is it rushed? Is it frozen? Is it open? Heavy? Is it hopeful? Just taking your time and pausing and asking, what energy am I living in right now? What energy would I like to shift into? That's the next question. Let your body answer, taking your time. Tiredness. Some of us feel that tiredness. That's definitely where I was. But what would you like your energy to shift into? From tiredness to what? From overwhelm to what? From confusion to what? Okay. So if in this moment you're unclear, self-loving, tiredness to self-loving, that's beautiful, Angela. Yeah, that's really beautiful. That's a beautiful start. Okay. So as far as integration, we get this information from our body. Now what's next? If your energy is your engine, then your job is not to push harder, it's to align better. If you're not familiar with alignment, or how do you know, maybe you have more questions about what that feels like, this is the way you start to develop what it feels like. Is pausing, put your hand on your heart and one hand on your stomach, connecting with your body. This signals to the body that you're ready to receive the communication that it's ready to give to you. And so when you do this, you're beginning alignment. You're beginning that connection. Now your mind will want to introduce other thoughts, and that's okay. As a matter of fact, it's beautiful, because when your mind is introducing other thoughts, it's trying to protect you. But you can let your mind know, I'm okay. I'm okay. I'll think about that later. I'm okay. And then go back to your alignment exercise. And what is my body feeling right now? Reconnecting, taking your time, and then asking it, what would you like to feel right now? Right? And allowing your body to signal the words. I love the time that you took, Angela, to get to self-loving. You took your time and you allowed it to come up. And that's beautiful. So make your decisions from calm. Move from calm to clarity, and you act on the resonance that's within your body, not force. Right? So we know, how do we know? How do we know when we're going into force? When we're going into force, we're acting on the thought that comes in. So how do we know it's a thought versus words from the body and an intuition from the body? The way we know this is that our brain will go into something negative, like you have to do this, or this isn't going to work, or people are waiting for you, you have work to do, right? So if that thought that you have falls into one of those categories of negativity, you know right away it is your mind, because your core being your source, your energy from the body, God, Jesus, whatever your belief is in a higher power, your higher self, however you identify with that, those entities will never speak to you in a harsh way. They will only be telling you love and kindness. They will only be feeding you words of support and love, feelings and energy in the body of support and love. Not something that our brain would label as nervousness or unknowing or uncertainty. No. If it feels like a nurturing, a loving, caring, then that is from source. That is from your higher self. So Angela says, one of my thoughts was to get up and clean my home. Yeah, that's great. Yep. That's how you know that that is in your mind. So I really commend you for allowing yourself to process through this. Yeah, it's beautiful. All right. So if you joined me today, I'm really happy that you're here. And I want to invite you to my Flow State Manifesting training. And that will be happening in January. It will be a beta course. And so I'm really excited to offer that, because with that being a beta course, it's a very low cost to get into that training. But again, I'm going to be having training on my YouTube channel as well, sharing that. The only difference between the training that I'll have in YouTube versus going into the beta course is that with the beta course, we can work one-on-one together. We can talk about the things that you're going through. But if you're not able to do that, and I'll put the link in here for you to, actually, let me go ahead and type in here. This is my website. If you'd like to receive emails on the cost of that training, go ahead and sign up for my my training. I'll be sending information via email later. But the training that I will have on my YouTube channel will be a walkthrough of all of those phases that we will go through in the beta course anyway. So let me know if you're interested in that, and I'm looking forward to being able to meet some of you and connect with you. I am trying to find my notes again. So my intuition really works really well off of prompting, and so once my brain gets prompted by a thought, then I can flow into my experiences that I want to share. So thank you for understanding that part. It feels a little weird that I keep referring to my notes here, but I really want to make sure that I don't skip over things. It's the other thing I tend to do as a manifesting generator, is just go off on a tangent in something, and then it doesn't serve you very well. All right, so I talked about flow state manifesting training. We learn emotional clarity and nervous system alignment, and we practice it and practice it and practice it together. I really, in my own development, I got piecemealed information from different places. I trained with a manifestation coach, Kathleen Cameron, and her program was amazing to open me up to receive what Spirit would have for me and to reveal to me in my path. Not everybody can join a program from Kathleen Cameron. So that, and then my training as a for hypnosis, I combined these two along with my personal experience to develop this flow state manifesting. Now, if you're somebody that wants even more one-to-one training, the flow state manifesting training will be a group program. You can also connect with me in one-to-one training, and that is a mentorship, and that opportunity will be available as well. You will be able to go into the flow state community training to engage with others, but you as in the mentorship program will be able to work with me one-on-one, so that we can have more one-to-one engagement in between the meetings. So, all right, so in closing, I just want to share with you, your energy is sacred. Your energy is sacred. So many times when I know that when in many people's childhood, we are taught to hold back the tears. Don't cry. Stop crying. What are you crying for? What are you upset for? There's nothing to be upset about, right? I mean, how many of us know these phrases that came to us in childhood, right? And you know, I had wonderful parents as well, like James mentioned earlier. We had wonderful childhood experiences, but those little things kind of taught us to shut down our emotional side and to shut down our energy, to not focus on the energy, to understand why we're emotional, why we're upset, why we're confused, and all of these things. Um, your energy is powerful, and you have your special energy for a purpose. And this alignment, you connecting with that alignment in a very special way, like really connecting and identifying what does this alignment mean and what am I learning from this experience, is so important so that you can live out what you're meant to do, what you're meant to do. And so your energy is powerful. Your energy is the real strategy. Your energy comes from your strategy comes from your energy. Allow that to be a guiding force. And we can only allow it to be a guiding force when we connect with it, when we feel the resonance and we understand it. So thank you so much for being with me today, and I'm so glad to have people come on live. And I just want to remind you, stay centered, keep discovering your gifts, and remember that every step brings you closer to healing and clarity. Thank you so much for being with me today.